Previously in Phaneero.
So today we are going to have a Q&A asking our man of God concerning the way of faith. Now, our first question, what is faith, or what is the mystery of faith?
The Bible says that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. But allow me to touch the Greek word there, substance. Substance here means material. In the simpler language, faith is the material of things hoped for. It's the reality defined in your spirit enough to see and touch the substance. Meaning, whether you want it or not, when it's truly faith, there's always some sort of substance or material that it defines in the spirit realm as you choose to believe God for a certain direction or manifestation of a thing.
What role does grace play in the effectiveness of faith?
Grace makes faith effective yet effortless. So people who know how to apply grace in their faith have working faith, because it's not their effort, it's not their ability. There is something that carries them. It's something about being carried by grace, because by the time you see the victory, you will see the hand of God that held you up beyond what you were able. If something is not of grace, then it's not of faith.
How does the word move from the mind to the heart?
There are principles that God has given us as guarantee that if you apply some of these principles, it is going to be impossible for the devil to take away what you have chosen to hold on to. Look at the principle of confession. You cannot believe God for one thing, but yet confess another. The Bible says in Hebrews 10, let us hold fast the profession of our faith without wavering, for he is faithful which called us. The word there for profession is confession. If you have determined to get something, speak and speak and speak and speak and speak. You say, I am free. It doesn't matter how far you're dragged. Once you sober up and you have 1 moment or 2 seconds to be sober, let that same word come out and say. Are you following what I'm saying? The other thing which is very, very important. If you ask, believe that you receive. What is this believing? 1, create the vision, mental image of what you've received, and constantly look at that only. But after creating that mental image, push your soul to carry the feeling of a person who has received. And that is why when you get to the place of stirring yourself in the emotion, you'll always find that you do the actions of one who has received. Christianity is a faith of actors. If you're serious that you're going to get a job, wake up tomorrow and put on clothes. You're telling people you're going to get married, you don't even know your size of ring. Faith lives here and comes here when you understand what you have been given first, before anything else. God has dealt with every man the measure of faith.
How do you differentiate vain faith from real faith that produces results?
Faith and faith is a faith that deceived not the self. Faith, though, deceived faith is faith that carries no action. The Bible says, faith without works is dead. Let's just say you believe in God for healing. If you believe you're healed and you wake up and you can't move a muscle, but you can drag yourself out of bed, roll out, and crawl out of that bed and say, I am healed. That's faith that is not what? Faith.
How can we pass faith to our children?
speak to the children not yet born. For those who are born, I tell parents, of course, to pray over them, not for only, but over them. Praying over them is speaking into their destiny when they are awake, but also when they are asleep. And then, of course, the Bible has told us how we have to repeat scriptures before our children. I tell parents, don't spend time with your children, invest time in them. Every time you're with them, let them receive something from you. That's all faith being transferred.
Thank you, Apostle. Kindly explain the faith that worketh by love.
The Bible says that the eyes of the Lord look to and fro, searching through all the earth to show himself strong. God seeks to show himself strong on behalf of them whose heart is perfect toward him. That means for God to show himself strong on your life, he just needs to find your heart perfect. Every man mightily used of God has a distinct consecration in their heart. God cannot give you beyond your heart. What is a perfect heart? Everybody who is born again has actually a perfect heart. Allow your heart to yield to what God has designed it to function as. So, if your faith is not working, look at the foundation. You realize that there's a place of love wherewith you have not attained. It begins with the revelation of God as love, and then it descends into the understanding of how God sees the world and men. And then he gives you the optics of seeing the world as love would see it, and dealing with men as God would see them.
What is tithing in the place of faith?
When you study the tithe, it's in Genesis 14. Who gave tithe? Abraham. Did Abraham exist before the law or after the law? In the New Testament, tithe is supposed to be a revelation, not a law. We no longer give tithe to become rich. We give because we are.
Can sin be an obstacle of faith?
You have this gift called righteousness imputed to you through faith. To receive that righteousness, it means that I have been forgiven, sanctified by Christ. Now, let's just say you have a disease in your body, but you are the righteousness of God and you believe in that righteousness. It would mean when you are praying for yourself for healing, you're not going to look at the sin principle to justify or disqualify your healing. You're going to look entirely on what Christ has done. Because the righteousness you've received by God covers every disqualification to get God's best.
Join our online family, spread the love, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Phaneero, make manifest.